Hey guys, Tom61, and today it's a little bit of history and a little bit of good news for me. Well, I finally did it. I upgraded my first commander all the way to legendary for using all of the things. And I know what you're thinking, like, wow, that's one, Tommy, you're a CC and you've never done that before. Yeah, it turns out, guys, grinding takes a long time, and if you just put universal accommodations into a bunch of random things, it takes a long ass time to get the ungodly number of universal accommodations it takes to get someone to max. And two, Tommy, who did you do it to? Well, if you look at the legendary perk down below, there's only one man with the Smogathon legendary perk, and that is, of course, Reginald Tyrwald. I don't even have him up to 16. I only just dumped all my accommodations into him, and that's because, well, for one, British light cruisers, one of my favorites. I've been kind of saving for this for a while, and two, I think we've seen the absolutely insaneness that you can get out of a Smogathon build on things like the Minotaur. So with that coming back to my port soon, I figured, you know what, it is time to bite the bullet, to put all 15 accommodations in, and I finally did it. And well, not to one, you guys didn't really like the last Minotaur video, so I decided we'll go ahead and use Smogathon on some other ships. So this is going to be kind of a double feature. The first one is going to be here in the Belfast, the wonderful tier 6 premium, and then tomorrow we have a fun game in the Edinburgh, both of them running the Smogathon perk. And yeah, so anyways, we're here, we're pushing B, but we're kind of trying to find our way over to A. We see that a good detachment of battleships have decided to push on in to this midpoint, and we know if we can get a good line of sight, and if our teammates can maintain this line of sight on these battleships, or, well, if they fire at us and they keep firing at our other teammates, they'll stay spotted. And if they do that, we are going to be good to go as far as damage, because, well, Belfast, one, not only do we have that beautiful enhanced AP from the British ships, that special AP, not quite SAP, but you know what I'm on about, which takes, what was that, 4.5 chunk out of the West Virginia air. But we also have HE, which is unique for the British line of ships. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and start picking up our smoke. Now, if you are unaware of what Smogathon does, well, it is a very special little legendary perk. What it does is it reduces the time it takes to reload your smoke generator by 50%. In exchange, it takes away 50% of its deployment time, which makes it very, very short. But what that does on things like Minotaur and all of the destroyers, it lets you consistently just chain smokes together. You get to be a good old chain smoker. But on ships like Belfast and Edinburgh, it means you're only out of smoke like 15 seconds. So you get to really, really bully some people. Now, we did just notice that over at A, there are some enemy destroyers, and we are pretty good at hunting down enemy destroyers. And also, we're starting to kind of dry up on the targets here. The enemy battleships are starting to stay a little far back. We haven't really hit much damage here, but we're doing okay. We're noticing that smoke's about to run out. We'll go ahead, get moving, and try to push over to A, because both of the enemy destroyers are over at A. And generally in destroyer v destroyer fights, the destroyer that wins is going to be really weakened by the end of it. And we want our destroyers to have life, right? We want them to be able to engage. So what we're going to do, we have some smoke cover over there. We do have a fairly stealthy ship. Well, we say that, but that Helena is just proven to be too juicy of a target. But we have a fairly stealthy ship, so if we wanted to, we could cross that little patch of open water fairly easily. The British light cruisers do tend to be fairly stealthy, and we do take a couple of big hits right there. A couple chunks come out of us. But now that we're behind this island, we can go ahead and start engaging them once again. We can see both destroyers still kind of in the smoke over here, but we do have some beautiful radar to help us find the Akatsuki. Not really expecting I don't think he was expecting some radar to hit him. We do take another pretty big hit from an enemy battleship there. He's starting to run, and the other destroyer is another Akatsuki, so we are going to push our way around here. If anything, Running this radar has definitely allowed us to see where they are. We knock out the engine there. We have to turn in to start dodging these torps. And, well, there goes that Akatsuki. And now we are in the cap. We can go ahead and start getting a cap. We can slow on down. We have a new angle to engage these battleships at. We're going to go ahead and start popping those shells. Now, one of the people that we are running with Reginald is the wonderful Azure Lane Belfast. And what she does is she actually reduces the spotting distance of once you're in smoke, so you don't have as big of a smoke fire penalty. It does absolutely help. But as we come in, we can see that Helena isn't giving up. He knows 2 enemy destroyers are over here, and he's licking his lips. And we are going to go ahead flip over to AP because the way he's coming in, he's going to have to be broadside. Unfortunately, he's within our 4.7 kilometers, which is our new reduced range. But we take 1 giant citadel out of him there. Fire our next round. We kind of miss the citadel on that one, unfortunately. Get a ton of overpens. And this last set of shells should be the one that wipes him out. Absolutely does. He returns the favor with AP, takes a large chunk out of us, but we've now secured the side of A. We can go ahead and get the cap off. And, well, our team at C has started to move into A, forming sort of a pincer maneuver, and the remaining ships of the enemy team are starting to go into B, which is absolutely fine by us. If they want to all kind of cluster up, we still have 2 of our smoke charges. We have plenty of time to be able to start engaging them, and we can see we are going to do just that. So we're going to go ahead, cap this, try to get some more shots off on this Gneisenau as he's the only spotted target for us at this moment, then proceed around the island because most likely the enemy ships are kind of taking refuge on the side of the island that they spawned on, and we should be able to get some better firing angles. But one nice little thing we do get here is we're going to have the opportunity to absolutely farm some defend ribbons. Now, I remember a couple weeks back, we had a challenge where you had to get defend ribbons, and people were not too happy. They thought it was crazy that you needed so many. We're going to end up with a good chunk because all 3 of these battleships are going to make it their mission to try to capture B, and we are going to make it our mission just to harass them, each one of them just long enough in order to prevent them from doing so. Now, we do have to be careful, and the one thing we are going to have to kind of take note of is they are probably going to be running Will to Rebuild, or at least the ones that are, because, well, they are nicely clustered together, so we may not individually be able to take out any of those battleships. Sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, if you will, of how you sometimes just can't take out a Will to Rebuild ship just because there's some around them. But we do have other fairly large damage pinatas around them, and we can see all 3 of those beautiful battleships kind of sticking out there right now. We go ahead, pop our smoke. Unfortunately, they do disappear from view, but because we are now in direct line of sight, the one nice thing is if those ships do fire at anyone, their damaged smoke fire penalty is usually large enough that we are going to pick them up even at this distance. That smoke fire penalty is fairly huge for battleships, which that's just something to remember to those destroyer players who try to smoke up a battleship. It doesn't really help them very much. Smoke rarely helps a battleship become concealed. It doesn't really help them, especially when they have that massive smoke fire penalty. Anyways, we are very happy in our newly found smoke, and it is now time just to sit back, fire up that tractor, and enjoy some beautiful HE farming. And that's exactly what we're going to do. As the ships pop up, we'll just go ahead and rain some shells down on them. The nice thing about that is in order to reset them, we don't even really need to do any damage. We just need to hit them with shells, and that will be good enough to reset the capture. And at this point, we have also taken D, and these battleships are starting to get kind of pinned in their current situation. It is not looking good for them. Just talking about Belfast. Belfast, fantastic ship. I think one of its downsides is the fact that it does not have torpedoes, which does make this Tirwat build a little weird, just because Tirwat is usually a destroyer commander. He does have a fairly good number of destroyer perks, including torpedo buffs. Unfortunately, we are not able to take advantage of those just because the ship does not have torpedoes in its current state of the game. We do see the PE Friedrich realizing that it's kind of a lost cause to sit into B. He's going to go and try to take out this enemy ship, this enemy destroyer, and we are going to try to go and support the destroyer. One, just to get a little bit closer in, and two, just to provide a little bit additional support, try to get a little bit extra damage. We have started a fire on him, and he is going to slowly start to whittle down. We'll go ahead and prepare our AP. Generally, AP on broadside battleships is fairly good once you aim up into the superstructure. It can be a little dicey when you're kind of at the hull line, just because that's where they tend to have a good chunk of armor, but we get a good nice 3k salvo there. We go ahead and pop our smoke again. We lose sight. We get the high cal. So there is only one thing we can do when a Friedrich doesn't want to fire his guns. We're going to pop our radar. That's right. I think this is the first time I've ever radared specifically to try to detect a battleship hiding in smoke. But our teammate ends up wiping them, and that's the end of the match. And that's one of the games in our little tier wide. If you want to see another of the Smogathon builds, we'll be doing Edinburgh tomorrow. Guys, if you liked the video, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.